Hi, I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and when I'm not making hit films or treading the boards, I listen to the Chris Evans Daily Download, and that's what you're doing too. For more information, photos and fun, head to Chris's Facebook page or the Radio 2 website. Enjoy!
Top of the morning, Charles, for today's Daily Download. Magnificent man of magic, Daniel Radcliffe, manages to squeeze some time into his oh-so-busy schedule to spend the morning with us over breakfast. And we stumble upon the world exclusive of the first ever Daniel Radcliffe self-penned movie. Today's Daily Download is dedicated to everyone who had plans for the weekend but now all of a sudden doesn't. And today's Daily Download is entitled Every Relationship Has One Thrower Outer and One Hoarder, and it's important to establish who's what early on.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show.
You know we love a superstar live on Friday mornings on this programme as well. This morning's Fine Friday guest had a touch of magic about him when he became one of the world's biggest movie stars at 11 years of age. Since then, he's been excited with the Equine and Equus, stirred the supernatural in Woman in Black, that was last year, and revelled in Russia with John Hammond, Young Doctor's Notebook. Now he's about to continue his comic capers in the revival of a new play. Please welcome the masterful, magical, magnanimous gent who is Daniel Radcliffe. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, thank you very much for having me. Yeah!
How was that intro for you?
That was great. What was it? Magical, magnanimous, and something else. That was very
lots of alliteration going on there. Very Radio 4, that was very front row, that was. That was a very comprehensive introduction. Well done, Mog. Mog's the new kid on the show, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Mark.
And you're
I appreciate
Mog.
that intro.
His name's Mog.
Mog, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't actually know what his real name is. He keeps it a big secret. He's a bit like, I don't know, he's a bit like someone, I don't know. But you're the first guest he's ever researched on this show, so you're his first big deal.
Oh, well.
Look how comprehensive his research notes are.
That is pages and pages.
It is unbelievable. Well done, Mog.
They can't possibly all be interesting.
Daniel, would you yourself give Mog a round of applause?
Yes, thank you very much.
How does that feel, Mog? All right, good. Nice cardi, by the way. Excellent shoulder pads. Right, so Daniel, welcome back to the programme.
Thank you very much.
You were here a year ago, so we'll talk about your play in a moment or two. But, you know, you love your plays, you love your books, and you love your poetry.
Yes.
Reading about your poetry, is it true that you have had poetry published yourself under a nom de plume, as it were?
Oh yeah, a while ago. I think I was about 17 or 18. I mean, I got really into poetry and writing poetry sort of from when I was about 15 to 18, and I was very good at it then, much better than I am at it now for some reason. But I sort of had 4 poems published by under a fake name. But then I think I went and ruined that by, I think, alluding to it in an interview, and then eventually somebody immediately figured out what the fake name was. And,
that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was, you know, it's quite fun to...
What was your fake name?
Jacob Gershon.
Now, there's a reason for that, isn't there? Jacob, is that your dad's name?
Jacob's my middle name, and
your middle name.
My mum's maiden name is Gresham, and Gershon is an anglicised version of that surname. Gresham's an anglicised version of Gershon.
But you love your books as well, don't you? You love to read, that's what you spend all your dough on.
Yeah, I do. Well, that's, yeah, I mean, pretty much. It's my most exciting purchase, which is always very disappointing to everybody, but it's stacks of books.
I don't think it's disappointing at all. There's a whole world in each book, isn't there?
There is, absolutely. At the moment, I'm reading a fantastic book called The Year of Living Biblically by a guy called A.J. Jacobs, who made it his intention to try and take the Bible as literally as possible for a year and see if that was possible. And it's very, very funny, and it's well worth a read, definitely.
There's a film in there somewhere.
I know. I wonder if anyone is thinking of that. No, I haven't, but I am now.
If you read a book, a really good book, do you then call your agent and say, have the film rights for this book been snapped up?
I think the thing is, the answer is, I think, normally yes, because if it gets to the point where the book is in your hands, normally I think the rights are gone. I mean, I know that David Heyman read the Harry Potter the manuscript before it was published, I think, and bought it off that. Somehow, you know, so it was, yeah, if it's published, I think your chances of getting your hands on it are slim.
Okay, this book about the guy trying to live out the Bible in a year, is it a new book?
No, I don't think it's. I think it was about 2007. I'm way behind.
I like the idea of this book. You should give us some recommendations. Give us a list to read before you go off the air today, because I know you're a real sort of bibliophile.
I'll try.
And once you've read a book, here's the question about books, Daniel. Once you've read a book, do you keep it and do you proudly place it on a shelf?
Yeah.
So everybody knows as testament to your great and expanding knowledge.
Well, no, I actually, I keep the books that I've finished somewhere else, and I store them away so I don't, they don't clutter everything up. So because I'm constantly buying tons of books, I will never read all the books that I have.
I agree.
But I have this thing also where I walk into a bookshop. If I see a book in there that I think that I'm probably never going to see again, I have to buy it, or like a book that I'll never think to buy again. I have to just get it then, otherwise like, it's just like compulsion. Like the guy in, was it that movie Conspiracy Theory where somebody kept buying copies of Catcher in the Rye?
Yes, exactly.
I'm that guy.
Happy Friday, everyone.
So a year ago, you were in this film, Woman in Black. Did very well, didn't it?
It did, yeah. No, it did brilliantly.
Extraordinarily well. Huge in the States. And now, reading your biography here and the latest research, is it right you've made another 4 films since?
Well, I made 3 films last year and a TV, the TV thing with John Hamm you mentioned earlier. So yeah, 4 things, 3 films. The films haven't come out yet.
So the films are in the can, as they say.
Yes, they are.
And have you seen them? Are they finished? Are they ready to go?
I have now seen all 3 of them, and I have to say I'm really, really pleased with all. They're all completely different. One's called The F Word, which is a very, very sweet and touching romantic comedy, but very clever as well, I think. One's called Horns, which is this crazy kind of horror, revenge story, romance. It's everything. It's based on a book called Horns by a guy called Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son, and it's brilliant writing. And then a movie called Kill Your Darlings, where I play Allen Ginsberg, which is hopefully going to come out in the autumn. It went to Sundance earlier in the year and did really well, and yeah, so hopefully people are going to see that later this year.
Now, if people don't know what Sundance is, first of all, tell us who Allen Ginsberg is. That's quite important.
No, absolutely. I mean, Allen Ginsberg was one of the sort of the founding members of the Beat generation of poets in America, and I play him at the age of 17 as he's just going off to Columbia University for the first time, and it's about him meeting a guy called Lucien Carr, who then introduces him to William Burroughs and Jack Kerouac, who are the other members of that Beat generation, and it's a true story about kind of a murder that not a lot of people know about. So it's a kind of historical biopic, but it's also like quite a good thriller, and I mean, so I'm very excited for people to see that one, because that was I definitely think that's a big departure for me, and yeah, went to Sundance, which is this big kind of very sort of indie film festival in Utah, which is Utah's an amazing place, by the way. Like it's beautiful, like stunning, and yeah, so I got to do that as well for the first time. I'd never been there before, so yeah, it's been a really, really exciting sort of year or so since I've been here.
And Sundance, the film festival, I think it was founded in 1981. Which was, what, 67? 12 years after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the movie was made, Robert Redford's movie, and he founded the festival. You know, he's given it up this year.
Has he?
Yeah, he said that's enough. It's got too big for me.
Really?
And I also, because it's called Sundance, it's all about the name, isn't it? You know, I'm terribly prejudiced where names are concerned. I always imagine things, how things are because of the name. And I think Sundance to be this gorgeous little tented affair, but it's not at all, is it?
Well, I mean, it is. There's quite. The funny thing about it is, like, it is both simultaneously. It's very indie and it's full of people trying to look very cool all the time and trying to look like they haven't made an effort when they actually have made an effort. But it's also. It's kind of, there's a huge amount of all the films and all the tents and everything sponsored by lots of corporations and big companies and stuff like that. So it's a kind of weird mix of very corporate and very, very indie. You know, lots of men wearing floor-length fur coats and like cool stuff.
Okay, so the indie roots are still there, but the corporate leaves are forming some kind of huge shadow.
I guess so, but it's also like, I mean, you don't want to criticise too much because it is also now the thing that allows the festival to exist in the way that it does. I don't know. So I'm not going to wade into that.
No, I agree with that. No, I agree with you entirely. No, I agree with you entirely. The other thing Rob Redford said about his own festival, which I think is we're talking about festivals. I love festivals generally, but good ones tend to grow. I mean, they're become victims of their own success. Absolutely. But he also said that he couldn't believe over all these years, over 12 years of this festival, which is now huge and was cool in the first place. He talks about the first year of holding the festival, having to drag people in off the street to see movies in this one theatre that he set up. He said he can't believe, out of all the filmmakers that have ever been there, all the producers, all the writers, all the directors, nobody's ever come back and offered him a role in a movie. And he said,
has that really? Is that not happened?
No, and he said he was really miffed about that.
That's really. I think that's probably one of those things that, like, because it's interesting when you're at Sundance and Robert Redford kind of enters the same vicinity that you're in, you hear about it.
Do you?
You hear like, oh, Robert Redford, he's nearby. Like, is it? So I think maybe it's just people are terrified to approach him about it more than anything else. They just don't want to.
Have you met him?
I haven't. No.
Have you felt his presence?
I have felt his presence. I've been in the next room, and boy, you can tell.
Happy Friday, everyone.
I'm talking to Daniel Radcliffe about his new play, Rehearsals start on Monday. What's the trepidation like ahead of the first rehearsal?
It's quite nerve-wracking. I mean, it's quite, you know, you're meeting everybody for the first time. That's quite nerve-wracking. I always find apart from me and a couple of other people, most of the cast is Irish. So the non-Irish members of the cast, of which there's only I think me and I think maybe only one other, will both be, you know, we'll be thinking about the accent a lot and, you know, trying to make sure that probably huddled together in a corner, worrying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and just getting started now. I feel like, because I've known I was going to be doing the play for almost a year at this point, so I'm so ready to get in there and get on with it now.
Good for you. Okay, opens at the beginning of June. It's called The Cripple of INISHMAAN, and as the superstar, you know, in the room, and I know you don't like talking about this, but it is a fact, when you turn up for rehearsal on Monday, you will be the big star. Do you feel a responsibility to set the tone?
Well, I mean, I think when you start young and you start on film sets, you see that when you're in a good mood and when you're working hard, everyone else is enthusiastic, and everyone, you know, you definitely get a sense for how the actors can affect the whole tone of everything. And I think, yeah, I mean, you do have to set a tone and an example, and not an example, but you absolutely have to.
Well, you go out of your way,
you know,
to make everybody feel at ease on
yes,
Monday.
Absolutely. Well, I hope so. I mean, yeah, I mean, I absolutely will, but I don't think. I mean, I'll be just as nervous. So I mean, I'm not sure how good a position I'll be in to do that. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, when I did the show on Broadway, you know, I didn't miss a show for the run, and you know, I haven't missed a show, touch wood, so far in my professional career. So like, and I think that stuff like that's really important, because, you know, if you start calling out all the time, then, you know, other people might, you know, it just yeah, I definitely think you have to lead and think of yourself as the head of your department and act as such. But yeah, I mean, I'm yeah. What's great fun about this play is that it's by one of my favourite writers, Martin McDonagh, who also wrote In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, and it's very, very funny. It's called The Cripple of INISHMAAN, and it's one of those plays that's very hard to talk about without making it sound like it must be sad, because a lot of the subject matter is, but it is also laugh out loud funny for you know, the whole thing, because these characters and the way they interact is so brilliantly written and so funny. So yeah, I'm very excited to
set the scene, because it's been performed before, isn't it?
Yeah,
1996 this play was written.
That was that when it was done originally. Hasn't been a major, I think, London revival since. And it's yeah, I mean, it's, as I said, a mostly Irish cast apart from me and one other, and it's about a young guy called Billy Claven, who is crippled, to use the word the play uses, and who, do you remember the film they made called The Man of Arran?
Yes.
That is being filmed on a neighbouring island, and it's about his determination to try and get across to be in the film on the other island. That's essentially the story of the play, but it's about the before and after effects of the making of that film has on the whole community, and on him. And it's, yeah, so it's very, very, yeah, as I said, it's hysterically funny, very, very black comedy, but yeah, I think people enjoy it.
And are all plays, you know, when you consider a play like this, does there have to be, is there automatically, even though sometimes maybe you wouldn't prefer it to be that way, is there always an eye on moving it to Broadway?
Not particularly. I mean, particularly with this play, I don't know that it would, because I think it's been done on Broadway a lot more recently. I mean, I think it was only done in New York maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, you love a bit of Broadway action, don't you?
I do, but I'm also, that's what's so exciting about this, is I haven't done anything in the West End since I did Equus in 2007, so I've been far too loyal to New York in that time. It's time to be back here, which I am,
good.
finally.
Saw you
yeah.
next, you're amazing.
Oh, cheers.
And talking about rehearsal, going back to rehearsal, have you learned any lines now for your rehearsals, or does that all start at 9 o'clock on Monday morning?
Oh no, I've learnt all my I've learnt my lines. Yeah,
lad.
I mean, but just because some actors like to go in and like just learn it as they go, but I know that if I'll just be stressing out if I do that, so I have to get it learned, and then I can go in and then
focus on other things.
Yeah, exactly. Then I can. Yeah, I just don't. I'm not that kind of a laid back guy. I have to like do the work before I get there.
All right. And for kids on the way to school, as many of them are now, it's 12 to 9. This is school run gold here. So kids are hoping to be in plays. They've got musicals sorted out. Them trying to remember things maybe for their homework or for coursework. What tips do you have for them? How do you remember your lines?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, it's just about repetition. Like, I just read them over and over and over again, and also read them aloud, because I know that when I hear things, I just take things in differently. So yeah, that's what. And it is literally the way I learn my lines is the same way I learned like spelling tests as a kid. You get a CD case, cover one side of the page, and go down it. Like maybe people who have like trained formally would have a better technique neat than that, and you don't rely on you having a CD case to hand. But yeah, that always worked for me.
Okay, but never any guesswork. You know your lines inside out.
Yeah,
and back to front.
yeah, totally.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Already Daniel Radcliffe is lamenting his teenage years to us here in the studio. Daniel, tell us about that song.
Oh, well, I was just saying that me and my friends were talking the other day about how you never quite love anything the way you do when you're a teenager. And this is one of those songs that when it first came out, you were like, oh my God, this music's just been made for me. There's never been music like this before. And it's nothing we know. And I hear songs now and I get into bands and I get into albums, but not in the same way at all. Like, I'm still so loyal to the Libertines and Franz Ferdinand and all those bands I loved when I was a kid.
Because they are your world. And also, you've got plenty of time to be a student of their art, haven't you?
Totally,
Whereas now you're just so busy doing all this stuff. Like at Lynn nodding sagaciously here.
Sagaciously.
That's what you like, though. She's Lynn's our guru going, yes, well, we knew these times would come. Okay, so Vassa's here now. They're both bookending. We have Vassas and Lynn bookending Daniel Radcliffe.
I feel like part of the team.
How do you feel? Well, you are part of the team.
Good, yeah.
You're a regular. This is your second visit here. Let's hope there's a third one day. I
hope so.
And you're talking about your work ethic, and you're talking about, you like to lead by example and be the head of your department and show the team what you do. And, you don't want to be considered a shirker. Daniel, I almost spat my tea out when you said that. How can you be considered a shirker when you've been working for the last 12 years and you're only 23 years old?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose...
How old were you when that all started?
11.
When Potter started, I was, 10, 11. I got it, was auditioning when I was 10. But I started when I was 9 on David Copperfield, so it was like 14 years, yeah. It's very strange you've been working for 14 years.
Do you feel like you've had, your childhood stolen from you? I mean,
Not at all.
It's been replaced by other great things, but...
No, but that's the thing, is when you look at all the various childhoods in the world, and you look at children that actually have their childhood stolen by terrible things that happen in their lives, and I'm always the one that gets asked that question. I'm like, well, no, I had a fantastic time. Okay. I just had my childhood on a set.
Stop answering it right there. I do not want to ask a question that everybody else
asks.
No, because I'm really angry with myself now. Let's try and ask another one. Okay, the Irish accent. The Irish accent that I know you must be worried about. The Cripple of Inishmaan opens beginning of June. You start rehearsals on Monday morning. You're surrounded by real Irish actors with real Irish accents. How are you working on yours? How do you go about that?
I mean, well, I've been working with a dialect coach called Penny Dyer, who I have worked with on things before, like when I played Ginsberg, to sort of find his voice as well. And yeah, it's just a process of sounding really stupid for like 3-4 weeks, and then eventually something starts to click, and you just start... I mean, there's amazing stuff online. There's audio archives of pretty much anywhere in the world. So I found one particular guy from in the 1950s reading a Yeats poem in this amazing Irish Aran Islands accent.
He's your man, is he?
Yeah, so I just listened to that again and again and again.
There's some fantastic Richard Harris on YouTube when he was on Parkinson, and I didn't know Richard Harris really talked like that in real life. He does talk like a tinker. He talks like a tinker, and I think you're doing an impression. And no, the interview goes on for 25 minutes, and that's how Richard Harris used to talk. Not how we thought he talked. You might want to listen to that. You might not. You might want to do what the hell you like.
Well, I don't know. It's because he wasn't. I'm not sure because it's such a specific area.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of the in a way it's sort of the islands. The other most popular, the other reference in pop culture to these islands is really Father Ted. The islands were kind of based
Daniel,
off
don't take anything on board that I'm saying. Don't
okay,
I just talk nonsense all the time. 3 hours to fill every morning. It's not easy, right.
Hey, he does an Irish accent. If you want to take some tips from Chris,
Don't do the accent.
I'm happy to do the accent.
You will wreck Daniel forever.
Get out again up the road now. Come on now. All right, let's have the sport, please. In perfect English /Greek.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Daniel Radcliffe's still here. Now, Daniel has just given myself and Vassos an inkling into something very special, which, don't worry, I won't mention on the radio, but I will tell you what it's about. Can I say what it's about?
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel has written a script, a movie, a screenplay, a proper screenplay. For a film, and this film hasn't been picked up yet. I don't know if it's been pitched yet.
No, I've done. It's literally I've written it.
But you've definitely written it. Okay. Well, this is
all
it.
that's happened.
How exciting is this, by the way? And I asked Daniel, had he written it properly? I.e., had he got the right computer package for script, which is called
Final Draft.
Final Draft.
I don't think no matter what level you get to, everyone uses that. I'm sure.
And it shapes all the words and the screenplays, the locations, the directions of the scenes, scene numbers as you want them. You have your italics, you have your centre pages, all this kind of stuff.
It's fantastic, and then it converts it to a PDF at the end, and you just feel so official.
Yeah, and the second you slot this into the computer or download it nowadays, and we used to slot it in, you already feel like a writer. You feel like a hit writer, or you can smell the Oscar, can't you? you on the way. And Daniel has just given Vassos and I a little heads up to sort of what his script is about. And I'll tell you, if it's anything like the 12 words he just told us, it's a smash. It's done. It's a done deal. No pressure, by the way. Mr. Radcliffe.
Exactly. No, well, thank you. This is free publicity for a film that's going to be out 8 years from now. It's fantastic.
This is good. So let's just talk about that for a second longer. It's finished. Yeah, you're happy with it, I presume.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just I've always wanted to write something, and I want to direct something, and I thought, well, it'll be a lot easier to just write something myself that I will then direct than trying to convince somebody else to give their script to a first-time director. So I thought I might just, then it's all on me.
But never make a movie with your own money. You know that. You've been told that.
I have been told that
a gazillion
yes.
times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about that lovely little phrase that one of your pals told you about the fact you've been on set so long.
What was that? What
about directing? About you?
Oh yeah,
you
well no.
direct.
Somebody said that a producer on the Potter film said to me, it would be a shame that if I never directed with all the amount of hours I've spent kind of learning on a film set, that it would really be a terrible. He thought it would be sort of a waste if I didn't direct.
A wasted arrow in your quiver.
I hope so. Yeah, but I definitely. It's something I've wanted to do for like the last sort of 4 or 5 years. So I hope I get to.
I'm excited. I'm excited. What Daniel? I wish I could say what it was. I promise I won't say. I won't even tell my wife. But if it's anything like you described, it's like, whoa, how much do I want to watch that film?
Oh, well,
anyhow, let's get back to our little thing going on here with our little Tin Pot radio show. It's the top tenuous. Vassos, how was it for Daniel Radcliffe today?
It was fantastic, as always. Well, I say as always. It was last time, and it is this time. Both times, it's been fantastic. And in fact, this time we've added lots of people texting saying, what great music choices.
Oh, well, that's excellent. I'm glad you approve. Fantastic.
I thought they were pretty much up there last time.
Yeah, they were. But we didn't get the love on the text last time. This time they've taken the time out of their busy morning to say, Daniel, well done.
All right, we're going to say goodbye after we get to number 1 in the top 10. So let's just, before we go, let's finish off some housekeeping, some business here. Okay. Your new play starts beginning of June.
CRIPPLE of NISHMAAN. We open June 8th and goes through till the end of August at the Noel Coward Theatre. Come on, come all. It's going to be amazing.
And tickets on sale now.
Tickets are on sale.
All right, my friend. Here we go. Today's top 10 is Daniel Radcliffe with Vassos Alexander. True or false, please, Daniel? Stand by. Here's Vass.
With Dicko at number 10, when Daniel was resting on the set of the Potter films, I used to have Mario Kart battles with him, and he only beat me once when he knocked my DS on the floor.
I don't recall that. I hate to call you a liar. It may be true, but I'm going to go false. Sorry.
Sarah at number 9. I flew to New York City for my 30th birthday, and Daniel signed Happy Birthday in my Beetlebard book.
Yes, I did. That rings true.
Number 8 is from Dan. I bought a Harley-Davidson chopper from Will Stegel, who was Daniel's dresser in the Potter series. Daniel had bought Will a new soft tail as a thank you for his work in the film.
That is all true, and well done. That's all great. Yeah.
And number 7, Kate says, my aunt is Emma Godfrey and is a voice coach who has worked with Daniel.
Yes, absolutely true again. I'm working on December Boys.
And number 6 is from B, my husband's best man's son is best friends with David, who used to be Daniel's stunt double in the Potter film.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, David is still one of my best friends. True again. This is all. We don't have many liars out there, apart from that first shifty fella.
Yeah, number 5, Daniel went to my friend's sister's nursery school, the Studio in Fulham.
Yes, true again. Absolutely. Jenny is in charge there, as I remember.
Number 4 and number 3 are a bit tricky for you to say true or false to, but I kind of include them out of interest, and maybe you'll know. I appeared in a school production, says Catherine at number 4, with Daniel's dad at Banbridge Academy, County Down, Northern Ireland. He was Fagin, and I was Mrs. Bumble in Oliver.
I'm sure my dad is from Banbridge. He went there, and we got somebody last time who rang it who texted in, I think, who knew my dad as well. So Banbridge always comes out in force with top tenuous. It's good, true.
Okay, and a mention of Candy Dine there, right?
Candy Dine.
Absolutely.
Number 3 is from Mary Lisa. My son Samuel won the Gresham Cup for verse speaking at the Southend Musical Festival 2 years ago, and the award was presented to him by Daniel's granny.
Oh, my grandmother, yes, absolutely. Many members of the Radcliffe family being brought in today, true.
Number 2 is from Miriam. I met Daniel in the lounge at Heathrow a couple of months ago when he was off to the Oscars. He was lovely. I had a pic with him. I was wearing a green jumper and a bobbed blondish hair hat.
Yes, I remember that day very well. I was terrified because I was going to the Oscars.
And number 1 is from Stuart, which brings you out in a very nice light if it's true. When we were in St Andrews in the summer, says Stuart. We got a flat tyre. A car stopped and the young driver offered to help. My kids were all excited. It was only when my helper drove off, tyre changed, that I realised it was Daniel.
I'm really sorry. I neither drive a car nor could I probably change a tyre. So, I'm so sorry. I don't drive yet. So
Even though it's made you sound like such a nice
Even though
guy.
I've maybe sound like such,
You should've lied.
you know what's really
Come
good.
on, Daniel.
You know what's really good though is that my doppelganger is obviously going around doing really good deeds.
Continue.
So that's fantastic. Yeah, like carry on.
All right, pal. So that's 8 against 2, 8 true against 2 false. Thanks so much for being here, Daniel Radcliffe. Always welcome.
Thank you very much indeed for having me. Cheers.
Can't wait for that film. Get it made, please, as soon as you can.
This was a download from BBC Radio 2.
Hi, I'm Graham Norton, and you can get my free download for free every week, featuring the best of Grill Graham, all the celebs and all the chit-chat from my Saturday show. Search online for Graham Norton Podcast.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show.